What if I told you the food sitting in your fridge right now could be quietly protecting your brain or slowly starving it? Stay with me for the next few minutes, because what you're about to hear is not something your doctor has time to tell you in a 15-minute appointment. I'm Dr. Sara Michelle, and today we're talking about the foods that may help slow memory decline and the ones that might be working against you without you even knowing it. Here's something that shocked me when I first came across the research. Memory decline doesn't start in your 60s or 70s. It can start in your 30s. Silently. While you're still sharp enough not to notice it. So if you've ever walked into a room and forgotten why, or blanked on a name you knew a second ago, don't panic, but don't ignore it either. Because your brain is sending you a signal, and food might be one of the most powerful ways to answer it. Let's start with the one food that neurologists quietly load up on themselves: fatty fish. Salmon, sardines, mackerel. These are packed with omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA, which makes up a huge portion of your brain's structure. Research has linked higher omega-3 intake with better memory performance and slower age-related decline. But here's the part almost nobody tells you. Most people are eating the wrong kind of fat every single day, and it's fighting against their brain instead of feeding it. I'm talking about the excess omega-6 fats in processed vegetable oils. When omega-6 dramatically outweighs omega-3 in your diet, it can promote inflammation, and inflammation is now considered one of the biggest hidden drivers of cognitive decline. So it's not just about adding fish. It's about fixing the ratio. Now let's talk about the small purple fruit that keeps showing up in brain studies again and again: blueberries. They're rich in compounds called flavonoids, particularly anthocyanins, which give them that deep color. Some studies suggest that regular blueberry consumption is associated with improved memory and delayed brain aging in older adults. But don't stop at blueberries alone. Because the real secret isn't one superfood. It's color variety. Blackberries, blackcurrants, dark cherries, even purple cabbage, they all carry similar protective compounds. Your brain doesn't want one hero ingredient. It wants a rainbow, week after week, on repeat. Let's move to something sitting in almost every American kitchen right now, completely underestimated: leafy greens. Spinach, kale, collard greens. A well-known study out of Rush University followed older adults for years and found that those who ate at least one serving of leafy greens per day had the cognitive age of someone 11 years younger than those who rarely ate them. 11 years. Let that sink in for a second. But here's what almost never gets mentioned when people talk about that study. It wasn't just about vitamins. Leafy greens are rich in vitamin K, lutein, folate, and beta-carotene, and researchers believe it's the combination working together, not any single nutrient, that creates the protective effect. Which means a multivitamin pill is not a replacement. Your brain wants real food, working as a team. Now, I have to talk about something controversial. Coffee. Yes, your morning coffee might actually be helping your memory, not just waking you up. Caffeine has been associated with improved short-term memory consolidation, and coffee drinkers in several long-term studies showed a lower risk of cognitive decline. But before you go celebrate with a fourth cup, timing matters more than quantity. Drinking coffee too late in the day disrupts deep sleep, and deep sleep is when your brain physically clears out toxic waste proteins linked to memory decline. So that innocent afternoon coffee might be quietly undoing the benefits of your morning one. Let's talk about walnuts for a moment, because they look almost exactly like a tiny brain, and it turns out that's not just a funny coincidence. Walnuts are one of the richest plant sources of omega-3s and also contain polyphenol that may reduce oxidative stress in brain cells. A study from UCLA even linked higher walnut consumption with better cognitive test scores across all adult age groups. Here's the catch almost nobody talks about. Roasting walnuts at high heat, especially the flavored or candied versions sold in stores, can damage those delicate fats and strip away much of the benefit. Raw or lightly toasted, unsalted, is what your brain actually wants. Now here's a food most people are terrified of for the wrong reasons: eggs. Eggs contain choline, a nutrient your brain uses to produce acetylcholine, a chemical directly involved in memory and learning. Studies have linked higher choline intake with better memory performance, especially as we age. And yet, for decades, eggs got a bad reputation because of cholesterol fears that modern research has largely walked back for most healthy adults. But don't just eat the egg whites and toss the yolk, thinking you're being healthy. The choline, the brain protective nutrient, lives almost entirely in the yolk. Throwing it away might be one of the most common, well-intentioned mistakes people make. Let's talk about turmeric, because this one genuinely surprised researchers. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, has been studied for its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects on the brain. Some smaller studies have even suggested it may support memory and mood in older adults. But here's what almost no one mentions. Curcumin on its own is poorly absorbed by your body, which means sprinkling turmeric on your food alone may do very little. Pairing it with black pepper, which contains piperine, has been shown to dramatically increase absorption. It's a small detail that changes everything about whether the spice actually reaches your brain. Now, let's talk about extra virgin olive oil, the backbone of the Mediterranean diet, which is consistently ranked among the most brain-protective eating patterns in the world. Olive oil is rich in polyphenol and healthy monounsaturated fats, and research has associated it with a lower risk of cognitive decline. But quality matters more than most people realize. A huge percentage of olive oil sold on shelves is diluted or mislabeled, blended with cheaper, less beneficial oils. If it's not truly extra virgin, you may not be getting the protective compounds you think you are. Let's pause and talk about the villain in this story, because we can't only talk about what to add, we have to talk about what to remove. Ultra-processed foods, refined sugar, and refined carbohydrates have been linked in multiple studies to faster cognitive decline and even shrinkage in areas of the brain related to memory. Some researchers have gone as far as calling severe insulin resistance in the brain a contributing factor to Alzheimer's disease, sometimes referring to it as type 3 diabetes. That means the danger isn't always about what's missing from your plate. Sometimes it's about what's constantly on it. Sugary cereals, white bread, packaged snacks, these may be quietly working against every blueberry and every walnut you eat. Let's talk about dark chocolate for a moment, because I know some of you just perked up. Dark chocolate, at least 70% cacao or higher, contains flavonols that have been associated with improved blood flow to the brain and better performance on memory tasks in some studies. But moderation truly matters here, because most chocolate on shelves is loaded with added sugar that cancels out the benefit. Here's something that ties this whole conversation together, and it's the part doctors rarely have time to explain. No single food is a magic fix. Memory decline is influenced by inflammation, blood sugar, blood flow, and sleep, all at the same time. Which means eating one brain food while ignoring everything else is like watering one plant while the rest of the garden dries out. So here's what I want you to take from today. Add color to your plate every single day. Choose healthy fats over processed ones. Protect your sleep, because your brain does its cleanup work at night. And remember that consistency over months and years matters far more than any single meal. If this video gave you even one thing you didn't know before, do me a favor and subscribe, because I have more videos coming that dig deeper into brain health, blood sugar, and the small daily habits that quietly shape how you age. I'm Dr. Sara Michelle, and I'll see you in the next one.